The Goose Girl. Wings of a stolen crown in the land of Valdenmoor, where rivers sang like silver bells and the mountains wore crowns of eternal snow, there lived a princess whose name meant light given freely. Princess Elara. She was not born to be bold. She was born to be kind. And sometimes, in a world sharpened by greed, kindness is the most dangerous thing a girl can carry. The morning of her departure smelled like rain, roses. Elara was to travel across 3 kingdoms to marry Prince Aldrich of Thornwall, a union that would end a century of quiet tension between their lands. Her mother, the queen, pressed a single white handkerchief into her daughter's palm. On it were 3 drops of the queen's own blood, ancient magic woven into the linen. As long as you carry this, the queen whispered, you carry my protection. Havre rode out with one companion. Mira, her lady-in-waiting, Mira, who had grown up beside her. Mira, who had braided her hair and dried her tears and laughed at all her quiet jokes. Mira, who had always wanted more than she was given. Halfway through the journey, they stopped at a river crossing. Elara dismounted to drink, and in the rushing water, the handkerchief slipped from her fingers. She watched it vanish downstream, white becoming nothing. She did not yet understand what she had lost. That night Mira changed. She woke Elara with cold eyes and a colder voice. You will give me your horse, your dress, your name, your future. Mira, if you speak of this to anyone, Mira said, holding up a blade that caught the moonlight, I will ensure you never speak again. Elara, without her mother's protection, stripped of everything, even her voice, which she swore under a fearful oath not to use, watched Mira ride ahead in her royal gown to claim her life, and Elara followed behind. A servant girl now. Less than that, a girl with no name. Thornwall received Princess Elara with bells and flowers. Prince Aldrich was tall and thoughtful, with careful eyes that noticed small things. He noticed, for instance, not yet. Meanwhile, the real Elara was given a task beneath the castle walls, tending the geese. Every morning she rose before the sun, wrapped herself in a rough wool cloak, and led 100 white geese through the eastern gate. Beside her walked a strange boy named Pip, the goosekeeper's apprentice, who talked too much and asked no difficult questions, which was exactly what she needed. Paxman, her horse, her beloved horse, who could speak in the way that horses speak to those who truly listen, had been locked in the royal stables. But sometimes, passing the stable gate, she heard him. And sometimes, at great personal risk, she whispered back. She could not tell anyone who she was. The oath sat in her chest like a stone in still water. She braided her golden hair each morning and tucked it beneath her cap so Mira would not see it from the high windows. But one morning, the wind pulled her cap free, and her hair caught the light like poured sunlight, and Pip stared. Who are you really? He asked. She shook her head, smiled, said nothing, but Pip was clever. And kindness, it turns out, has a way of speaking even when mouths are sealed. The thing about stolen lives is that they do not fit properly. Mira grew more desperate the longer she wore Elara's name. She ordered Arvith destroyed. The horse knew too much. She grew sharp with the prince. She avoided the old king, who had lived long enough to recognize the difference between performance and character. The old king, Aldrich's father, had seen wars, had seen grief, had seen the particular hollowness in a person's eyes when they were pretending to feel something they did not feel. He went walking one morning and passed a girl in a rough cloak, leading geese through the morning mist. She was singing, very quietly, to herself. Not a court song, something older, something that sounded like a lullaby only a queen would know. He stopped. She did not notice him at first. When she did, she fell silent immediately. The trained, careful silence of someone hiding. Child, he said, I am not asking you to speak. But if there were a way, if someone gave you permission, would you have a story to tell? Elara looked at him for a long moment, and then she nodded, once. Slowly, the old king was wise. He brought her to an old iron stove in the castle courtyard, one used for burning waste, and he said, Speak your truth into the stove. You are not speaking it to a person. The oath cannot hold against iron and fire. It was an old loophole, older than the oath itself. Ensa's self. Elara knelt before the stove, pressed her lips close, and spoke everything: the handkerchief, the river, the blade, the oath. Her name. Her name, saying it aloud for the first time in months, made her eyes burn with tears she had not allowed herself until now. The old king had listened through the chimney on the other side. The court assembled. Mira, faced with the old king's testimony and Arvid's unspoken confirmation, a horse who refused to be calm in her presence, but stood perfectly still beneath Elara's hand, could not hold the lie together. It unraveled the way all borrowed things eventually do. There was no execution. Elara did not ask for one. What she asked for was simpler: her name back, her voice back, her future, chosen now, not arranged. She met Prince Aldrich properly, this time as herself. He said, "I knew something was wrong. I should have looked harder." She said, "You couldn't have known." But you noticed. That matters. They were not in love yet, but they were honest with each other from the very first real moment, and that Elara had learned was a far better foundation. Mira was exiled to a distant province with nothing but her own name, which had always been enough, had she only believed it. And Elara, princess, goose girl, girl without a name, girl who reclaimed it, rode Arva through the eastern gate one last morning, not to tend the geese, but to say goodbye to them. Pip waved from the field. She waved back. And the geese lifted all at once into the pale gold sky, 100 white wings catching the light, rising and rising until they were small as stars, and then gone. And end.